Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Merry Christmas. Hope you all are having a great day. Hope you're having a great weekend and hope you're just enjoying your holidays with friends and family. If you're alone and you're not with friends or family, or if you're just having a hard time, if you're sick or with loved ones that are sick, my prayers do go out for you guys. I know that the holidays isn't always the best time for everybody. A lot of people are lonely or going through some things, so my prayers do go out for you guys who are going through things. I've seen that firsthand this season that, not everybody enjoys this time of the year. I always call it the holiday blues, whether you're just down and out, whether you're just struggling, whether financially it's hard on you. Trust me, I get it. Financially, it was a little bit harder for our family this year than it's probably been in years past, but definitely not as bad. My situation is never comparable to someone else's. Someone else is always going through something worse. So prayers go out to anybody. If you guys got anything that I can pray about, put it in the comments below, and we'll all take care of you here. It's a family atmosphere. We all pray for one another. So thank you all for the amazing support. The topic of this video is going to be, I really think it's going to be an active final week of the year. And I'm not talking about winter weather. Yes, in the Pacific Northwest, it's going to be active for winter weather and cold temperatures. But as far as the South, the eastern U.S., potentially the Southeast, as we get into the first couple of days of the new year, it could potentially be quite stormy. Outbreak, it's hard for me to say that yet, but there is two chances of severe weather I am watching. One around this coming Wednesday night, and then another a couple of days into the new year. So that's what we're going to talk about. I do want to mention in this video, if you hear any kids screaming in the background, we have a house full of kids right now. The neighbors like coming over to our house, and I'm always open to the kids coming over. I try to be that dad that all the kids like and want to hang out with. So if you hear any kids screaming, yelling, fighting over toys, that's just part of having a family atmosphere. So let's get going here. If you guys have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, like the video if you like it. Thank you for joining me on this Christmas. I do think it's important to get this message out because, and this is the main reason, the Storm Prediction Center, when it announces that there's a severe weather threat past day 3, it's something you really need to you need to pay attention to. And we have a 15% chance of severe weather and 25 miles in any given location at day 4. So that is Wednesday into Thursday. And unfortunately, this is potentially, and all the timing on this has to be worked out. There is so much that has to be worked out with this system. There's a lot that's going to change, but this is probably going to be a dominant topic of conversation over the next couple of days. I am going to give you an update on the potential pattern change because I'm starting to see it getting into the new year as we are going to roast next week. It's going to be very warm, very spring-like, downright warm some days, and it already has been in Texas. But this is going to set the atmosphere for a couple potential severe weather outbreaks. I really think so over the next several days. So 15% chance. There is no slight risk, moderate risk, enhanced risk, high risk in this. All it does is it gives you an area and says, hey, this is something that we might grow upon over the next couple of days from the Storm Prediction Center. The severe weather threats, we do not know, but there is an highlighted area. So what's going on here is I want to mention this first. There's definitely going to be an area that we have to watch here. As far as there's two air masses. There's a very warm and moist air mass, and there's a very dry and cold air mass, and they are going to clash, and there's going to be a boundary sitting here as we get into early next week. As you can tell, very warm in the south. These are temperatures, not dew points. And as you're getting into Wednesday morning, this is the Arctic boundary. You got Arctic air dipping down into the Midwest, and then the southeast is warm and moist. And then you get into, this is around high temperatures Wednesday. For example, look in Oklahoma into Missouri, highs only getting in, the 40s and 30s and 20s. Then just south, for example, look at Arkansas. Arkansas, the northwest corner of the state's in the 40s. The southeast part of the state is in the 70s. So you have a big time dividing air mass here with very warm temperatures and very cold temperatures. So, it's a clashing of air masses that you got to watch out for here. And moving forward, but what happens here is as you get into Wednesday night, basically a trough injection, basically a low pressure is going to ride this boundary, and it's going to promote and enhance an environment as you have low-level moisture that's ample in this area, and you have a high pressure that's surging all this Gulf moisture out here into these areas. And the thermodynamics in place, which is temperatures, CAPE, surface moisture, are going to be there. What we don't know is the upper level pattern, meaning kinematics. So basically the wind energy, what kind of elements do you have? What kind of trough injection do you have? Is it digging? Is it positive? Is it neutral? Is it negatively tilted? We just don't know that, and I can tell you this first event, as we look at the upper level pattern here at 500 millibars, which is the mid levels, if you will, going into early next week, you look at these piece of energy right into here. Notice this is going to be the time frame where right into here, as we're getting into Wednesday evening, where you get a surge of moisture, where you get a surge of some CAPE, convective energy, and the temperature surge right here. But you notice this doesn't look like really a real big time digging trough. Meaning it's not digging positive, neutral, or negatively tilted. It's just not digging much at all. But at the same time, you have a big piece of energy injecting out of Baja California, and this surges ahead, low pressure goes ahead, and then the environment to the south, as usual, is the environment that is going to be an area that we have to watch for severe weather. And then you watch, as we get into New Year's Eve, this piece of energy right here, another trough injection. And this is getting into the long range, so it becomes a lot more unreliable. But this moves in, it goes almost neutrally tilted into Texas as we get into the first or second day of the new year. And this is another one we have to watch out. I think if we were looking at it now, we would say, hey, this has a little bit more potential, but it's a little further away. So a lot of things could change with that. Now I'm going to switch it here to the Pivotal Weather site, which I like, especially when you're looking at it for severe weather, but it's a little bit more irritating to use than my weathermodels.com. It really is. But here you go. It's a great site to use for severe weather, great site in general. It's cheap. It's one of the cheapest ones you can get, besides looking at tropical tidbits, which is free, which is amazing. But as we're getting into that 29th range, which is Wednesday, one thing that the European shows is it shows some thunderstorms up here in the Ohio Valley. But what you don't have here up in the Ohio Valley is you don't have a warm sector. So I don't think these are going to be severe in nature. Could they be a little bit of thunderstorms around just south of the low pressure? Sure, they could. But as far as any type of big time severe weather outbreak in that area, I don't think so. But as we're getting into Wednesday, these storms right into here, as we're getting into Wednesday evening, these could be severe storms. Now, we're not in a short range model, so we can't get an in-depth look at this, but here in the next coming days, we will be. And I tell you, in the next 48 hours, we will really know what the severe weather threat's all about. Am I going to compare it to the one that happened a few weeks ago? I think December 10th. No, I really don't think this is going to be like that, because the trough injection for that December 10th event was substantial. It dipped really good and ended up becoming neutral to negatively tilted at the last second. It trended that way, and it trended worse and worse. Now, I will mention that system never had a 15% severe weather risk. So this could still trend into a more worse scenario. So we have to watch. And then we get this piece of energy that moves through. This could provide some thunderstorms even for the southeast. And then we watch this system right here, which is a little bit more of a digging trough injection. And this could bring some storms into the first couple of days of the new year. And I think this will ultimately be our pattern change. And we'll talk about that in a video here in the next day or so. Maybe I'll make another one tonight we'll watch. But this will bring us back into wintertime temperatures. So I think we'll have two severe weather systems before we have a pattern change, before we start thinking about any kind of cold weather. But here we go. And this is what we're talking about with the thermodynamics, right? You got surface moisture, convective energy, surface temperatures, what you feel when you walk outside. Like for here in Columbia, South Carolina, it is blazing today on Christmas. It really is. It feels nice, honestly. If it's not going to snow, might as well be warm, right? So we're getting into Monday, getting into Tuesday, even the days leading up. You have a stout, these are dew points, by the way. This isn't temperatures. You have a ton of Gulf moisture, high pressure out here, funneling this Gulf moisture south to north here, and this is funneling tons of Gulf moisture. Then you have these dew points in the 70s just off the Gulf Coast here into the Gulf of Mexico. So next week, it's not just going to be warm across the south and southeast. It is going to be pretty humid for December. And as we get into Wednesday, when I think conditions will be prime for severe weather, look in this area right here, right where this, right when this low pressure injects across this jet right here, you have plenty of low-level moisture, basically you have a ton of humidity. You're going to feel it in these areas, and just like you did before the event that happened a couple weeks ago. So you got to watch out. Right into here, all this high humidity, all these higher dew points in the 60s and 70s. That ingredient is maxed out. Of course, when you have a big time, tornado threat, you usually have dew points well into the 70s. But as far as December standards, you can't ask for better dew points than that for a severe weather event. You really can't. Now you look at as far as temperatures for the same time period. I mean, really, you could have severe weather with temperatures just getting to the 60s and 70s, so it's not as big of a player. But check it out. You got temperatures well into the 70s in this area that could have severe weather. And, you go back here to mention that second severe weather event. Temperature dew points might get knocked down a little bit, but here comes the spike in dew points again ahead of this pattern-changing air mass that eventually brings you back to more dry winter-type air mass here. But that that could provide a little bit of oomph to the atmosphere for severe weather as we get into the first couple of days of the new year. But very warm couple of days over the southeast as we end the new year. But at the very end, you see a pattern change. But we're not going to get out of this without severe weather threat. We're really not. As far as CAPE, this is ML CAPE, mixed layer CAPE. So the mean in CAPE, it's not going to show you the worst case scenario. And as you can tell, even though you have dew points already in the 60s and 70s, you don't have any CAPE. So you're not going to get any convective energy, any thunderstorms is what I'm trying to say. But the CAPE starts building as you get into Tuesday night, into Wednesday, into this warm sector. You get CAPE values well into the 1,500 to 2,000 joules per kilogram range, which is enough CAPE to mix in with these high dew points and higher surface temperatures. Thermodynamics, which is what the three things I just mentioned, is there. Everything thermodynamic is maxed out in a situation. I wouldn't say maxed out, but it's elevated in this situation. CAPE rises into this area, and then you have to watch for that spike in CAPE right here at the end of the run as we get into the end of the new year with that next event. So as far as the low-level jet, as far as the upper-level patterns, basically the wind speeds aloft, what are you looking at? You always look at that low-level jet as far as a tornado threat, right? How fast is those wind speeds, and how much are they changing just aloft to create that wind shear for a tornado threat? Well, you have wind shear or the 850, that this low-level jet really is shooting across the southeast right here. As you see, you have a 50 to 60 knot jet, but you don't really have any CAPE in this area just yet. But as you're getting into the most favorable time, right as this basically this surface low is shooting across the jet right here, this right here, right in this time frame right here, is right when you're primed for severe thunderstorms in the southeast. And here we might can get a little bit, well, no, it won't let me get a little bit closer on with this, but right here is right when you have the most favorable time for severe storms for this first event. And you notice there's not much of a low-level jet. It's only about 30 to 40 knots. That's not a super favorable upper-level pattern for any kind of major tornado outbreak with this. But we'll watch. We'll see how this trends upward if it does. But, there's not much of a low-level jet. Now, if you keep moving here with this second event, now this is a low-level jet. So this is why we have to watch out for this area right here, as you have a little bit more of a trough injection. And, you have to watch out even to the Carolinas and Georgia as you get into the first couple of days of the year. So severe weather is going to be the dominant talk here as we end off the year. And I have a feeling our winter severe weather season is going to be active, as normally on La Nina, it doesn't mean you're going to stay warm the entire year. Are you going to probably be more warm And then cold, probably so. But I want to mention that you do get a lot. You can oftentimes get an Arctic outbreak with these. We'll watch. But severe weather, unfortunately, is going to be the topic of conversation going forward, and I hope it can not be here soon, because honestly, when it comes to the three main things, when it comes to the weather, severe weather, winter weather, and hurricanes, tropics, severe weather I like talking about the least, just because a lot of times for localized areas, it can be the most dangerous. For example, Mayfield, Kentucky, got demolished. So that's all I got, guys. We'll keep you updated on this. I'll squeeze a video talking about the pattern change I'm seeing, maybe in tonight and maybe in the morning, as I'm going to be off. I might put it in the morning and then give you an update on the severe weather tomorrow night again. But that's all I got, guys. Y'all have a great Christmas. Don't forget the reason for the season, guys. I say that, and I'm speaking to myself too. Oftentimes in the chaotic, holiday season, you forget what's important, and it's today. Throughout the last few years, to me, Christmas Eve and the days leading up to Christmas has been the most exciting time. But you often, forget when everything starts to wind down on Christmas Day. You get home from traveling. A lot of times it takes till then before it hits you that it's Jesus' birthday. And 33 years later, after his birthday, he gave his life to save us from our sins. So let's not forget that. So God bless all y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in, and y'all have a great rest of your evening.